little bit.
This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Charmander.
Or you're more of a Charmeleon guy.
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to episode 165 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk. You can get The Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months. I'm Luke. Joined this morning by Andrew.
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. Woo!
Slam through.
Taylor.
Donkey.
And Jay.
It's Jay.
And Alex.
Thanks.
It feels sometimes. Have y'all seen that trend where people try to perfectly like sync up to the "I will always love you" when you use it's like the
drums.
It feels like every time that we do that Steve Ballmer drop, I'm trying to like.
I was literally
time out the
thing.
woo.
Oh yeah,
it's later than you think.
I've been listening to it for a long time. I even counted it out one time on the podcast.
It's more claps than you think. It's more claps than it should.
I stopped. I forgot immediately.
I think it's 5 claps. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So, if I wonder if there's people that don't know what that's from. You know, from the Paul George Kawhi press conference.
Yeah, 3rd in the MPP.
3rd in the MPP voting. It's just a signal back to the beginning of the rebuild for OKC.
Yeah, what a moment. I don't think I mean, obviously, there's no way you knew when you started using that drop that moment would be
so iconic.
I mean, would lead us to this moment.
I didn't think it would lead us to this moment, but
the Oklahoma City Thunder are the world champs.
I mean, here we are.
We are.
World champions. Unbelievable. Well, how have you guys processed these
Still not.
few days?
Still not really.
Because we'll talk about the draft today on the show. We'll talk about the title, but I just want to know.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
it was something we've been waiting for since 2009, and not even like I don't think back then you really thought even like eventually you'll get an NBA championship. We were so just excited to have a team and to have relevance in the world. And now I'm like, we are the top of the NBA world. And if you look at the franchises that are, and this is what's been kind of strange heading into the draft, is the amount of moves that are taking place. Like Boston basically have dismantled their team.
Yeah.
And my son and I were having this conversation about, like, who is there? Because we still don't know. Like, a lot of these Western Conference teams still have stuff they have to do. Like, are there moves the Wolves are going to have to make because of financial situations? What are the Lakers going to do or not do to address some of their needs?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like there's already been so much movement, but we still, I mean, free agency opens up, what, next weekend?
No, Monday.
Like, tomorrow, like 3 days from today?
Yes.
So it's like the whole, you look at the way things are kind of opening up in the season, and I think I heard yesterday, I can't remember what the stats were or the odds were, but some on Bill Simmons' pod, he was talking about the odds for Oklahoma City heading into next year at this point are like 3-1 or some sort of. Is that good or bad or?
I think that's.
I want to bring up something I'm not really familiar with.
But I was like,
I think that's pretty
but
good.
the way they were talking about it was like you basically would like make almost nothing if they won.
Yeah,
the
yeah. I mean,
championship
they're
I can tell you what it is.
the odds are-
Actually, it'll be very funny. Okay, so Thunder plus 240. So they're not minus. It's not like they're an overwhelming KD Warriors favorite.
Yeah.
Who do you think is second? Who has the second best odds?
Yeah, I know this.
Andrew,
I think I know
see
it too.
Lakers.
Okay. Who do you want to say? Taylor?
It's interesting. Magic.
I think the Rockets.
Magic.
It's the Rockets.
I'm going Magic. I'm gonna stay with Magic.
Well, I just told you the answer. It's Rockets. So
All
you're welcome
right.
to stay with it.
What do you think
I think I'll stay with Magic.
I don't know how the Cavs aren't second, though. I would put the
That
Cavs second.
that is. They're not even in like.
I'm
the
assuming
top,
how much they blundered through the playoffs.
They're not even in the top 9 there. I know.
Who? They're
Oh,
third.
no, I see them now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it goes Thunder, Rockets, Cavs, Knicks,
It's been a long week, okay?
Lakers, Wolves,
Can't read words.
and then you get to Magic. I'm surprised the Nuggets are so far down.
What's
I mean, they
the
haven't lost anyone.
I don't know how quick you can get to this, but what's the Eastern Conference? So the quick I wonder if you mentioned the Magic, and it just made me think, like, have they moved up with all of the injuries and the uncertainty in the East
can tell you.
everywhere else? I'm wondering if
Yeah.
the Magic are top 3 in the East as far as conference.
Cavs plus 280, Knicks plus 310, Magic plus
Yeah.
425. So
They're not
yes,
even
they're
in the
third.
top 9.
Top 9.
It's
based
funny.
based on what I can see.
Based on
The Celtics
eyesight,
are still fourth,
yes,
which is interesting.
The Celtics.
yeah. And they
Okay.
still have.
I think they're trying to get dumb money out of Boston for a couple months, and then they'll
And
change
Al
it.
Horford.
But who's better than
Luke
them
Cornett. Sorry.
after the Celtics? Who do you or like after the Magic? Who do you believe in? the
I
East?
kind of think the Pacers will be stable.
Without-
Why not the Bucks?
Without Hallie?
If Giannis stays, why not the Bucks?
Who else is on the Bucks?
Well,
Name one other
Who's
player.
the second best player on the Bucks?
but Giannis is going to be the
Kuz.
best player in the
Yes.
East. Giannis is going to be the best player in the East.
That's true.
I mean, could you not see them kind of Giannising their way to the finals?
No, I
definitely
cannot.
could.
No,
No.
we just watched them get killed in round 1
Yeah,
With-
but they've
with
done
that
that
team.
before.
with the team you're talking about.
Yeah, but they've done that before, and then they won the
Yeah, but
next
they
year.
had Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton scored 40 points in a NBA Finals game with that
They
Bucks
did.
team.
How you guys feel
Okay, I
about
take
the
it back. I don't like
Wizards?
Kuzma.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like Kuzma.
There you go.
Wizards got some guys.
They did.
CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton,
CJ.
CJ.
Marcus Smart.
Yeah, they're plus 50,000. Tied with
Yeah,
the Hornets.
CJ
If you
McCollum's
wanna-
always been a difference maker. Let's just hold it.
You want to get odds?
Anyway, let me wreck
There's too
Jay's
much
now.
touching. There's way too much. There.
Don't take Jays.
It's not going to work.
I'm gonna
Don't take
take
It's
Jays.
not going to work.
Don't
like
break
this.
both.
This is not going to work like this. Uh,
Take it.
Turk it. So the NBA draft was the last 2 days. The Thunder took. This is not going to work for so many reasons.
Can you just take the microphone off of that? And
Yes, but the process is way more.
It takes a long time.
The process is way more extensive than you realize.
I had to
Well, you're-
this and stuff.
Yeah, you're
we
about.
should have thought
you're-
about this before.
I'll put it back.
The Thunder took Thomas Sorber.
Stop being so violent with the boomstick.
Yeah, no, you can't do this.
boomsticks.
The
Georgetown Center.
Thunder took Thomas Sorber, 6'9", big man. He's got the longest wingspan in the draft, which is cool.
He is. Here's my concerns about Thomas Sorber.
Oh, we're starting with concerns.
Wow. No.
I see because all the benefits, people, I get it. Like he's got long arms. I think he's gonna be a good defensive player. I like some of his offensive ability.
Yeah.
He's pretty throwback as far as the way he plays offensively. A lot of back to the basket. His jumper, he shoots them.
Yeah, I saw some threes.
Yeah,
He can't shoot.
but I think he was like
I saw some.
He was like the 3-pointers you saw in
Taylor broke this thing so hard.
the 3-pointers you saw in his highlight mix were the only 3 he made.
Yeah, I mean that might be real.
And
I think he shot 19%.
I am intrigued. I think the potential for him is what the Oklahoma City Thunder can do for him.
iHeart doesn't shoot threes, though.
No. True. I think the development for Sorber is how his body is going to mature and fill out. Like you can see, he's not explosive at all going up.
Yeah, we were talking to Sam Vecini about it last night because I was asking him like, what is the weight difference? Because he at the combine he weighed the most of anyone. He was
Mhm.
262. But that's because, in part, he broke his toe.
They could do like no conditioning.
Yeah, had to get surgery. Everyone keeps saying that he broke a foot in his bone or bone in his foot, which is true, but it's not like the navicular bone like with Embiid.
It's not one that has to heal for a year. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he got 262, but apparently at Georgetown he was closer And we're to back. like low 240s. And I have thought since they made the pick, like we might not see him for a minute because I feel like because of the surgery and his weight, like they might just take a lot of time just getting him conditioned. And maybe that unlocks some of the athleticism, which people seem to be concerned about.
That's kind of what I was alluding to. And I was listening to Sam and Bryce talk about it on their live draft, and which they did a really good job. You can go through online on your podcast feed. I'm assuming this is everywhere. That's what Overcast is. You can click on the time signature,
The timestamp.
the timestamp, so it'll send you to where you are. So I just listened to him talk about Sorber, and what Sam had mentioned that I appreciate is it's a perfect landing spot for Sorber.
Yeah.
Like nobody has any expectations from him this year. He can spend the whole year playing in the G League, and I think Andrew, you've alluded to this. Is I think the goal after iHeart, I think everybody is assuming that the Thunder will decline the team option, which would make sense. And then iHeart would be a free agent somewhere and go play somewhere else. It would
Or they give him an extension.
That's what I was going to say. Or they give him like a team friendly deal that's 3 or 4 years if you want to stay.
I've heard so many people nationally say like, well, they can't keep Hartenstein, like talking about now. Like thinking that they have to get rid of him before next season.
People say the same thing about Dort. What they don't understand is like there's a chance the Thunder don't pay the tax next year too.
Yeah.
So like they don't know.
Yeah, because none of the extensions come in to play for
until the following year.
They don't know what they're talking about.
It feels like
come here.
I like this. It just feels like people cannot accept that, like, no, they can't be that good and have that many people, and like, no, there's something I'm not seeing on the salary cap sheet. They can't keep that.
Well,
they can't do that.
I think
They can't do that.
It's a fair assumption because almost every champion is like that, where they
look at Boston.
They have to sell. They have to
Or Denver.
sell all their draft picks to get to this point, which it's rare for a team not only to pick once, but have 2 chances in the first round, which they ended up trading. But to pick 15th for a champion is extremely rare. And to be able to keep everybody and be able to add to it is even more rare. Like that, people don't know how to talk about them because this is not what the Thunder have done is not normal.
Yeah.
And in any capacity. And so they are going to be able to keep this team together. They are going to be able to add to it. They're going to have to get creative at some point with what they do. But like they're going to have Nikola Topic next year on the team and try to figure out what he is. They have like more options than any champion has ever had.
And what you're talking about, them having to figure something out down the line, that's basically after 2 more full seasons. They have pretty much 2 more full seasons of this team, right?
Yeah, I think that after this next year, that's when the Hartenstein option would be for the following year.
And that's when Chet and J-Dub kick in.
Yeah, so they'll have to figure some stuff out next summer, but there's no worries until then about like
who was the last champion that made it all the way to the finals and won and never had to trade one of their own picks?
That's a great
at
question.
any point in the process. Like I'm thinking about the 22 Warriors actually. Like I don't know if they ever had to make a deal because they actually got picks.
Yeah.
That they use with like Kuminga and Moody. So maybe it's them, but every other team I'm looking at had to trade their own picks to get to this point and had to go into the tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thunder didn't do either of those.
Yeah. Didn't pay the tax. Didn't
Stole
trade their
it.
picks.
Straight up stole.
And had other people's picks that were in fact much better than theirs.
Yeah, don't the Thunder have the potential of like 5 first-round picks next year?
Yes.
Like looking at the Sixers, and I think it was I'm trying to remember who it was. Maybe it was Bill Simmons. I think everybody kind of universally liked the draft, the number 3 pick, BJ Edgecombe.
VJ.
VJ.
I paid a lot of attention to the draft this year.
Do you know what VJ stands for?
Victory Jesus.
Very close. Valdez Jr.
Not even remotely close.
I learned that in Sam Vecini's draft guide.
So,
VJ, don't call me BJ Mullen.
but you look at the way that they're putting together their roster, and Daryl Morey is where it's the wild card in this. But I'm like, would it surprise anybody if at some point next year they have to pivot towards their youth in a
Oh,
way, like
I would recommend they
Embiid
do
or
it
Paul
now.
George, and it's
Yeah.
like next thing you know, are they a 7, 8? Because it's top 3 protected next year, or top 4.
Top 4 protected.
I mean that could convey between 5 and 12 and not be a surprise to anybody.
That would rock.
So the hard part is we're trying to find comps for the way that this team is structured and built, Oklahoma City Thunder, and there aren't any. And so nobody has the language to use around it. So they default to the way that they've talked about other teams, where it's like, oh, the second apron is going to close this team. Well, it's like they're pretty far away from the second apron, and they will get to it because, in theory, both Dub and Chet probably are going to receive the max extensions.
Yeah.
Dub for sure. Chet's maybe the question mark. And then you have Shea's extension, which they could negotiate and sign this summer, which I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, is all of that Monday as well, I'm assuming? Like they can sign all their extensions?
Yeah.
So we'll have a clearer idea of what the salary is going to look like in 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. But there is no comp for the way that this team, and you kind of alluded to it, like the Warriors.
Who was the last champion that didn't immediately have to lose one of their key rotation pieces?
I mean, Boston last year to this year, pretty much.
I guess
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
So last year.
Boston, it's been a full year.
So it's been
but
365 days.
But that's the one, because you go before that, you have the Nuggets.
Yeah, they traded Bruce Brown.
The Bucks were kind of that from 21 to 22.
Yeah.
They just ended up moving on their own because they floundered out the next year with Drew, which that was such a bad. The Bucks are really mismanaging.
They're in a tough spot.
I love
roster-wise,
that
for sure.
that Shams report that was like Giannis is closely paying attention to who the Bucks are going to draft. They have like 1 second-round pick. They draft a guy who has braces. It's like, if this is why Giannis is making his decision,
Okay, I'll stay.
Sorber has braces.
Sorber has braces too.
Yeah.
Let's not pick on adults with braces, okay? I have a lot of friends that had braces when they were adults because they couldn't afford it when they were children.
He's only 19.
All right.
Still,
I mean, Tokic had
thanks.
braces, right?
No, Vasilija Micic had braces.
Yeah, he had adult braces.
All right. Well,
Thanks
that
for
one-
sticking up for the adult braces community, though.
Back to the Hornets, Micic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as John Hamm pointed out to me yesterday, we have to completely unwind the Vasilija Micic career path. So he has to be traded back here they've got to trade like Oos to the Hornets for Micic so that he can fully rewind his career and go back to Europe.
That's where he's headed.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't hate that.
yeah, bring him back for a few days.
Why would you even have an opinion on it? Who cares?
I'm on a podcast.
I don't hate it.
Gotta have an opinion. I don't hate it. Let's trade Oos for Micic. That's our next step.
That's how they take the next step up.
The thing about this week, though, for me, it like all the pressure about this team and has just been lifted off our shoulders. Like it's been like cathartic, I think, because like if like whatever turns out, like all the past years that we've been doing this since we've been doing the podcast, like doesn't matter. We did it. Like
well, all the weaknesses have now become strengths. Like everything people said about this team going into the playoffs, those are now strengths now. Like that they're not experienced, that they're too young. It's like, well, they're still young, and they obviously won being young. So like everything has flipped. Where now like they're entering next season from such a position of strength, and they shouldn't have a lot of pressure on them. I mean, the only pressure is that this could be like an all-time great team. Like they have a chance to do something really special.
You want to prove it to me? Win 75 games.
Yeah. You want to prove it? Team that won the championship.
Honestly, I'm like win 55 and sit Shea for half the season.
Yeah. Win 60. Don't
take your time.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing
they
is,
still could win 65 with.
Like, think about how much time Chet missed and how much time Hartenstein missed.
Yeah.
Shea's the one I'm like, just take some.
But the
weeks
thing
off.
is, he's only going to be 27.
I understand that.
So it's just.
So was Jason Tatum.
I'm just saying.
And he still would have a legit shot, especially now that he won the championship. That gives him more equity for next year's MVP discussion.
Definitely.
Like if they hadn't won the championship, I would say, oh, there's no way.
Oh,
even if Shea has a great season, they're giving
You
it
think
to him.
back to back possibility?
It's at least possible now.
For sure.
Look what happened to Dirk when they lost in round one. He won MVP. They lose in round one. It was like, oh,
Never again.
Never again will we vote for you.
Isn't that what happened with Jokic too? He won 2 back-to-back, and then with the championship there.
That is how it worked with both Giannis and Jokic.
And Jokic,
Yeah.
So here we go. Back-to-back championships and back-to-back MVPs.
I want to keep going down that pathway of like, so you go 2023 was the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
And they traded KC or got rid of KCP that
Well,
summer.
Bruce Brown was the first
Brown.
Oh
one.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he had to go.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown, which was a big deal for them.
He was awesome. He would like bring the ball up the
Yeah.
court for them at times.
Yeah. And then before that, was that the Warriors?
Yeah, it's the
Which
Warriors.
was such an anomaly. That one's the weirdest one of
It was
the
a weird.
last.
It was a weird one. The weirdest one could be Alex Caruso's Lakers, though. Like thinking back about that
Bubble
team,
for sure.
You know, I don't know that if it were just regular NBA, I don't know that that team wins the title.
No, I think I'm not trying to asterisk anything. That's not what I'm doing. But
Yeah,
there's having the break and the controlled environment
yeah.
that kept Anthony Davis bubble wrapped.
You sleep in the same bubble wrapped. You sleep in the same bed every night.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot that went in to help them.
Did you know that Dion Waiters played 7 games for the Bubble Lakers?
I did. I knew that
I did
Dion.
not remember that.
Dion's got a ring.
Wow.
Who else can you thinking about? Dwight Howard's on the team, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
JaVale?
Yeah, no. Yes. Keep
Yes,
going.
yes.
Keep going, Jay.
Yes.
There's a lot of names.
There's a
Obviously,
lot of
Davis
great
was on
names.
the team. Laker or LeBron.
J.R. Smith was on that team.
No, he was not.
Yeah. Was he
Yeah.
on the playoff roster?
Yes, he played 10 games in the playoffs.
Shout out.
Kuz.
Kuz was on that team.
Yeah.
Rajon Rondo was on that team.
Yeah. Danny Green. Yeah.
Jared
LeBron
Dudley.
loves playing with vets. Loves
Who was
it.
that last one?
Jared Dudley.
Jared Dudley.
It feels like he's been out of the league so long.
No.
Dude, he played in the playoffs.
Like
Jared Dudley played 9 games in the playoffs. I mean, barely any minutes, but
5 years ago.
wasn't Dudley the one? Did he try to fight? So he was on the Sixers and tried to fight. What was the thing that was where they kept doing the like open their arms at half court? Oh my gosh, what is my memory here?
yes, Jared Dudley won a fight entire Sixers team. YouTube, I found it.
Yes, okay. But he was with the Nets?
Yeah, it
Yes,
was the
Jay,
Nets.
good job.
Jay. Nice.
Damn.
Nice memories.
Yeah, him and Ben Simmons didn't like each other. And it was the playoff run.
Yeah.
Well,
that-
keep going, Jay.
The Nets were
Jay's
like that.
flexing on us
It
right
was the
now.
last time
Yeah,
they
he
were
is.
fun
Yeah.
before they traded for KD and all those guys. But
Yeah.
anyway.
We've gotten so far afield of the
Okay.
Championship.
More sober thoughts. I think that what it gives the Thunder is just options moving forward.
Yeah.
Because like there's a chance that iHeart is like, you know what? Like he wears the Nick Collison shirt. I want to be here like Nick Collison was. I'll take
that would be sweet.
whatever discount you guys want for me to stay. You guys have already paid me a boatload of cash. I would love to just win multiple titles with
Yeah, because
you.
he'll have made over 50 million. Because what's he 28 this year and 29 next year, something like that?
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be okay.
That's-
He just turned 27.
I'm sorry, money. How much money has he made?
Oh, money in his career?
No, just these last 2
No,
years.
I think
they
this year
signed.
was-
I thought they signed him for 20 something.
This year was 30.
This year's
30.
30. Next year's 28.5. And then the option is also for 28.5.
20.5. Yeah. So I mean, like but who knows? He may want. I mean, he could get a lot of money to go be a starting center for somebody. Somebody would pay
I always
him.
think. I
to
always
do
think
that.
about that
So,
initial Laker or the initial Celtics run, where like guys like James Posey.
Yeah.
You remember when Posey? I think he went to the Pelicans or something like that.
Yeah.
People start overpaying these guys because of the championship pedigree that they now have.
Yeah.
So
Without a doubt.
there is money to be made for some of these guys that can go and play somewhere else, which is ultimately like that's the challenge of Sam Presti. But Alex, you mentioned it the other day, is that further this whole thing like solidifies Sam as one of the best executives in the history of the NBA.
The only thing he didn't have.
It was the only thing he didn't have. And I don't know if you saw I don't even know who this guy is, but he was on with Bill Simmons. Like, it was making the rounds on Instagram. Who was that guy? But anyway, they're just talking about like the biggest free agent in the next few years, Sam
yeah.
Presti.
Oh,
I saw
Mannix.
that.
Oh, man.
If the Supersonics come back, does he want to go back to Seattle? I'm
Dude.
like, don't forget that Aubrey and Clay were the ones that hired Sam.
Dude,
Also-
Mannix.
He didn't come to
this was
Seattle
a few years
first.
ago.
I
when,
know what you're about to say.
when Brad Stevens stopped coaching and went to the front office, Chris Mannix did like an entire podcast with Bill talking about how like Presti might go to the Celtics, and now this has been like a lifelong dream for Presti and all this stuff, and like the Celtics could offer him anything, and then they end up going with Brad Stevens, and like it becomes nothing. So I'm not surprised that like Mannix is the one that's
Trying
coming
to
back
get
on
Sam out of
talking about it again.
I was actually going to say that Mannix was also the guy that said, if you were starting a franchise, would you rather have any player or Brad Stevens as your coach? Like, he's always trying to be like, I'm smarter than everybody, and I know the power of either a coach or an executive more than anybody else, and know that you would rather have that person than a player.
It's like trying to be galaxy brain.
He's galaxy brain so much, and he's trying to do that now. Where it's like, what do we think about this Thunder team? Let me galaxy brain this.
It's also such a reach to do the Seattle thing.
Oh,
like Sam wanted to go back to Seattle. I'm like, number one, he was there for 2 years, 1 year. Not to mention the fact of he's not from there.
No,
like he's from Boston area,
opposite coast,
and he's been in Oklahoma City for 18 years.
Yeah.
The thing he said about Seattle, like, wouldn't that be just an amazing, like, him coming back and getting? It's like, dude,
no, they hate him there.
Also, he had like barely any connection, and it was more about his connection with Clay than it was with his connection to Seattle. Like, he's not just going to go work for some random owner when he has like the best setup in the league.
Also, why would you leave?
Yeah.
Who's going to own the team is the biggest question.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think if we had an owner that was like wanted to be in the spotlight, wanted to make decisions, Sam wouldn't be here anymore. I firmly believe that. I think because, and even Clay, after they won the title, like you go back in the locker room, he's back there, he's got a beer, and you're like, hey, can I get a second with you? He's like, no, I'm good. He's just like walking off. Like he's not wanting to take credit.
He doesn't want any of the spotlight.
So you could feel so
what's he hiding?
We didn't we didn't
so what's he hiding?
We didn't kind of spend much time in this, but so we went down to the parade, and it was really neat. And the way the Thunder players engaged the fans, like there was just it was kind of a perfectly Oklahoma City.
Hey, where were you posted up?
We started at Social Capital. We spent most of our time at Social Capital.
Oh, okay.
Because we thought we'd be able to kind of we can see the parade in one direction, we can see Scissortail in the other direction. And in theory, yes. What we ended up kind of defaulting to is the benefit was you had bathrooms and accessible water and you had drinks and food. Like it was like you could have a decent experience, and we were there for way too long. But anyway, it was just still really hot. And so that was the challenge. If this would have been in October, but it would have been a wonderful time. But
can we just wait?
Instead, it was in mid-June, and it was scalding hot. So but my son and I went down, and we walked over to the parade from my son and we walked over to the parade. And you know, it's like we were close enough. What's neat about that? You can have 12 people in front of you, and you're still able to see.
You can see it.
The guys that are there. And Shea just finished up like his on the ground with everybody. Then most of the guys got back on the buses, and so I was able to see. For me, I'm like, there's the guys, and then a whole bunch of people I don't have a clue who they are. And then there was one that was filled with like Clay Bennett and Gabe Eichard.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know I don't think I knew anybody else. And so I was
a
like, there's Clay. And you could tell he was just like, I don't want to be here. This is not my thing. Thank you.
Like, I mean, he is. I don't think there's anybody that shaped this city more than Clay Bennett.
No, I mean, you could argue the whole ownership group, but Clay is the sustaining one. He's the
reason that they're here because of his
face of the franchise.
Because of his connection with David Stern, they got the Hornets here, and because of that relationship and how well that went, that's how the Thunder are here. I mean, it is without Clay, I don't think that we're sitting here.
Yeah,
I don't think none of this happens. I mean, I don't know what downtown looks like. I don't know what our city looks like. The guy is the most impactful person, and he's the one who hired Sam. He's the one who's like stayed so steady through all of this. I know Presti deserves a ton of credit because he's like the architect of everything, but without Clay, none of this happens.
It really is the perfect collection of leaders in the organization. Like they all know their role. They all play their role perfectly. Because the thing that I also think about going backward in time with Clay is like there were moments where it could have been easy for him to distrust Sam, right?
Oh yeah.
2016, the loss there.
Yep.
The James Harden trade.
Yep.
Insert these moments where some knee-jerk Sacramento Kings owner
he picks Poku,
probably fires their GM because of their ego.
Yeah.
And instead he's just like, Clay looks at Sam and is just like, I like almost implicitly just trust whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you have carte blanche, do whatever you want to do.
It's just different, like the type of like leadership he has and just on down through the team is so impressive because he could be doing stuff like that, questioning Sam, making him do certain things that Sam wouldn't necessarily do, but he just has completely empowered him to complete his vision. And then that goes down like Sam picking people that he lets it, and it just goes down to like the coach, SGA, everyone on down. It just flows down from that initial position of such strong leadership.
Yep.
And so it has infected sounds bad, but the whole franchise is colored by that.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
it's
Which is
just great because you hear people complaining about, ownership is made, it's two teams all the time, and it's never good.
Yeah.
It's because you have a bunch of owners who think that they really should be the GMs.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem.
You know what it is? You have a bunch of owners who don't have the connection to the city in the way that Clay has the connection.
Yeah, that's
like
a great point.
I think it goes so much higher than Clay because like so much of this championship talk has been about the city.
Yeah.
You know, whether people are talking about going back to the bombing and how the city rebuilt from there. Like this team is so intertwined with the city in a way that it's just not the case with other teams. Like a lot of other teams, they feel like not separate from their city, but like they're their own entity. Whereas you look at every mayor through Oklahoma City, like the roles they played, like passing maps, like every single iteration of maps, or having someone like Mayor Holt, like helping with the arena. And then the population as well. Like everyone in Oklahoma City wants Oklahoma City, the city, to be good in a way that you just don't see that like consistency across every level of government and sports teams anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we are in like the reddest state and we just continue voting for like taxes, you know, because we all want our city to be recognized. We want our city to be good.
Yeah.
That is really unique.
It's pretty cool.
That is pretty unique. Yeah. I do kind of get the only place that I've experienced stuff like that is in these little pockets. Like I went to a Cubs game the year that they won the championship, like went earlier in the season with a couple buddies. And sometimes like those baseball towns in the areas of those towns that are committed to their baseball team, that's the only vibe I've ever received that feels that like the match marriage of the team and the city feel that way. Even though Chicago's not a good example because you have a lot of people who are Sox fans and a lot of people, but you have those places where it's like, oh, this is what we're going to see as we continue to grow as a fan base, where you have like, look at your kids and my son, and you have these kids that grow up and it's like, oh, we think about, we plan our lives around. And it used to always be OU football for us or OSU football for some. And for some, but it never was as much of like, OU football was always like, oh, you give your life for this team. And OSU football was like, we enjoy being there, but we know that this is our life. So I didn't mean for that to sound as much of a dig as I did, but
I mean, they should have been in the championship in 2012 with Brandon Whedon, Jay.
What I'm trying to say is that, let me unpack that one real quick. So what I'm trying to say is OSU fans have always been content with whatever the outcome is. OU fans have always been, if they don't win, there's a chance that you need to check on us over the course of the week, right? That's changed a lot since they've lost a lot.
I don't know if content's the right word, but
all of my buddies that are OSU fans have always been like, that's kind of OSU, you know, except for that one Whedon year. It's like,
I love it.
Anyway,
this is awful. This is my least favorite podcast.
It's true, and you all know it's true.
You're hurting our feelings.
No, I'm not. Y'all just had a good time. So,
to shut this.
But all that to say that for OKC, it's like you're going to have an entire generation of young people who are growing up, and it's like all we think about and want to do is watch the Thunder, celebrate the Thunder. I mean, look at the lines from the Caruso Canes experience of the J-Dub.
The
Dick's
Caruso
Sporting
Canes
Goods
experience was
or it's like
amazing.
you just have people that are hanging out for hours just to be in these guys' presence.
People lined up for J-Dub at 9:30 p.m. the night before to get a wristband at 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
People showed up to Canes for Caruso at like 3 a.m. Just waiting to just see him.
Yeah, it's that connection to the city, I think, that you're kind of alluding to.
And then these guys get to be really like Oklahoma celebrities for as long as they want to be.
Oh,
like I was talking to someone, and they were like, "Yeah, like each member of this team, like now is like Barry Switzer. Like they get to be here, and they're going to have like that sort of connection to the whole state for as long as they want to."
Yeah.
And it's like I've been hearing like the team has like showed up at different restaurants, or like they're just getting this like a standing ovation from the restaurant. Like they don't ever have to pay for a drink or a meal ever again.
They just walk in.
Just walk in. It's just like yes, you've done it.
Yep.
And it's awesome. And it's awesome that it's this group of guys. I love it.
I'm just thinking about like Brandon Carlson, like trying to pull that, but them not recognizing. He's like,
"Hey guys,
yeah, my name's Brandon Carlson. I'm pretty tall."
Yeah,
I was laughing at the Caruso Canes experience.
Yeah,
and how Jay was saying like there's such a deep connection to the city. Like the Caruso Canes experience is actually very Oklahoma City. That we are lining up at a Canes Chicken for Alex Caruso, and it's funny, but it does say a lot about how we feel about these guys.
Hundreds of
I'll go wherever.
There were hundreds of people outside this Canes.
The Canes Caruso experience.
I've got some more Canes Caruso content released later today.
Oh, Caruso X Canes. Did they do a collab shirt? I would love a Caruso X
Canes. There's not a collab
Canes
shirt. There's a collab poster. That I have over here. It's a one of a kind Alex Caruso with a blank jersey on with Canes at the top.
Oh, that's awesome.
It rocks.
But I just think people are so grateful to like be given this gift of being able to have like crazy levels of pride about the city you come from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is such a huge deal. And this team has like given us that since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Katie and Russ made Oklahoma City a global name. Like people overseas, as we learned, like meeting so many fans from like, got to shout out Dean Metropolis. He was telling me how like
shout out to Dean.
He became a fan in 2010 because the only games they showed in Australia were Lakers games, and it was that first Lakers series where OKC lost in 6, and he just decided to root for the other team. But like the fact that someone so far away could learn about OKC, like it still blows my mind that someone would spend so much money to fly over to be at this city. So like you have to give KD and Russ the credit for like initially establishing it.
Yeah.
But this just takes it to such a higher level.
Oh yeah.
That I mean it really is cool. Like just to say you're from Oklahoma City.
It is a championship city now.
That's right.
It's a championship
you can't take that
city.
away.
So crazy.
Never.
And the deep connection that I think that is possible to have with this current roster and with the coaching staff and everybody.
Yeah.
Because they all feel more accessible than most NBA players.
Yeah.
Especially with like this, even the Canes experience. They're just doing these things around the city where like they are accessible to fans, and they're doing things so that their faces can be seen. It's
the
very
parade.
cool.
The parade was I mean, I can't tell you how many different videos I liked, watched, sent to people of like simple moments. Shea sees this group of people that are kind of sitting on this ledge and goes over, and he's not like he picks this little girl up, puts her in the seat, and then goes around and takes a picture with them.
Yeah.
You have the moment that iHeart sees that kid and they
great.
dance together a little bit thing. And the kid just is like, I don't know, man.
Did you see who was on TV?
And then they gave him like a jersey and all that stuff.
He's crying.
It was so cute.
There is an accessibility. You said it. There's an accessibility that is very unique. And just a small thing that for me, the fact of Shea, where Shea lives and where Shea does his life. And I wonder if this will continue to be this way for as big as he's going to get. Yeah. But he lives, and you can figure this out, but he lives not in a gated community, not in a place where you could drive by his house any day you wanted to and see his cars. You could go to parks around where his house is and see his family playing at parks. Like,
not suggesting that you do that.
Don't do that. But
and the address is
but it's like he's not as much as like the KD thing was the flag football thing was like the most kind of accessible, and then he did a few things where he would drop shoes around the city. If you remember that one,
But he did some cool stuff too.
But a lot of those guys, you felt like you just would never be able to come close to kind of seeing them or touching.
Well, and a lot of times that's what players are like right when they enter the league.
Yeah,
because they still have that like innocence
Yeah.
to them before social media
that's
just
a real
destroys
thing.
them.
And then,
That's a real thing.
but just even the fact that like at the parade they all got off the bus and were just like interacting with fans. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Wanting the fans to touch the Larry O'B.
Yeah.
Like, that is cool. Like they wanted to share it with the fans. They wanted them to feel a part of that moment.
Yeah.
Which is very cool because you could have just stayed on the bus, had an amazing time, but like they took their time and energy to make it make the fans part of it. It's very cool.
So the parade, Jay, I just took it and you're trying to take it back already. Unbelievable. Yeah, so do I.
Come on, Roadcaster.
By the way, we knew there were 5 people coming today. All right. Anyway.
Roadcaster only has 4.
Okay, sorry. The parade was the first time that the championship felt real to me emotionally. And I think it was because of all this stuff you guys are talking about and this realization of, I think being from Oklahoma City and having these big like Shay's from Canada. I mean, you had KD and Russ from all over, and in the summer they go do big things. They go back to LA. They do other things. They never really stayed here. So you always kind of considered them as like, these guys just say they like Oklahoma City because that's where their NBA team is. That's what they have to do.
Yeah.
You kind of always gave them that benefit of the doubt. And so it was cool that like, and maybe it was actually winning a championship that kind of locked in their connection to the city finally. But it really felt so real. And that's when it became real to me too. And then you see them get off the bus, everything you guys just mentioned. It was like, oh, I think they really like us.
Yeah.
It's like I think I can believe that they actually like Oklahoma City.
And that ties back into the whole like identity with the city as well. Because that's kind of, I mean, in Boomtown, like that's kind of what he talks about, how the city has just been like yearning for someone outside of OKC to recognize us and tell us that we're good.
Yeah. It's an inferiority. We felt like it's always like we've always felt. I think that's always been the struggle of Oklahoma City. And, to have somebody where you feel validated, you feel seen, you feel all of those things. And it's, there's part of it where like you could really unpack like, hey, that's maybe unhealthy, but in the end
I mean, the whole like big league city thing, like, that's so funny. Like
we keep projecting it, trying to be it, but we never, one of my other favorite parts. And I was thinking about you remember when Jokic, they won the championship and they were like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I just want to, and then he went to the parade and he was like, well, strike that. This was all I wanted to do. He just had, what I felt for the Thunder is the Thunder had no idea how to celebrate the championship in the moment that they won it.
Yeah.
But the parade is where they figured it out.
Yeah.
Like even like simple things like Dub was like, well, I had my first drink of alcohol ever.
Yeah.
Which also, I just think go back to the first iteration where like you have all of the things are leading towards this place of like, well, Oklahoma City doesn't have any clubs that they can go to, and the nightclub life isn't great, and so really these guys aren't going to stay. And Dub's like 25 or 23, and he's like, "Oh, I finally had my first drink." Yeah. It's like they have a little bit different thing that they like to do in their nightlife. Go home and play video games is what it kind of feels like, maybe. But
you're really like, "Oh man, Earl Watson got turned away from a club. It's so embarrassing."
Earl Watson.
But now it's like these guys.
Earl
I felt like
go to Sky Bar.
The parade. The parade was the time where they like figured you could feel it. Like one of my favorite moments was Chet stumbling through what he was trying to say because you could tell that he had a little too much sauce to start the day. You know? And then
let me lock in.
All of these guys that finally it was like, oh, this is how you celebrate.
Yeah.
Well,
they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to open champagne. They didn't know how to. You walked out of the locker room and they had so much stuff left over because they just had no idea really what they were doing. And then finally the parade is when they were like, you could feel that they had figured out how to party.
Yeah. Well, and Wiggs helped them too. Usher it in.
That was so. That was. I was
talking to AC about it yesterday. I was like, "Did you see that coming?" He was like, "No." It's like none of us saw that coming. He's like, "In fact, we tried to make that the end of the program because no one wanted to follow him."
Yeah.
Like he dropped the mic and we're like, "All right, We good?
Yeah, and then
We're good.
Paris was like, okay,
Paris is
Lou, and Lou's like, are you for real?
I was like, I have to do that. Like Lou's.
Well, I don't know if you could see it on the broadcast, but like Shea was doing the Vince Carter, it's over.
Yes.
Like the second Wiggins was done.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And Jay Will, what I liked about that moment especially was like Jay Will was all of us. Like as you could feel the hype building in Wiggs' speech, and you could see Jay Will coming out of his seat and see Clay Bennett and Sam Presti and Mark Dagnon and all of you in here. And then you could Will was like literally just motivated out of his seat to celebrate. And and then Jay Will closing off the scissor tail part.
Him at the end.
It was, I mean, perfect.
Like the WWE call.
Yes, he was using pro wrestling cadence to do that speech, and the crowd immediately was responding with like everything is like what to every break in his thing, like they do it pro wrestling stuff.
Guess what?
And it was the best. And Holt's reaction just to cover his eyes, like
perfect.
It's all so great, and it was the perfect cap to that. Like if you switch those around, I don't know if either it just doesn't. It wouldn't be the same. It was perfect.
The Wiggs opening and the Jay Will close was
perfect. Like those guys are big enough local celebrities where you could justify having them on WWE when it comes through town.
Yes,
right.
Yes, I would love it because they do
like
have
Halliburton,
yeah, and the New York guy like have had a weird interactions on WWE stuff, and so
Jalen
like
Brunson,
yes, and like they've like they did something. And so like when they come through here, I guarantee they have people from the team there, like in the front row
Jay will
partying. I guarantee it.
Great.
Yeah. And so,
maybe a second career for him too. You know?
I mean,
he's so funny.
I love Jay Will.
But I just think it like,
and there's no way the draft is over. What does this mean for Jay Will? I'm like, nothing.
It means Jay Will is on the team forever is what it means.
So, like Jay will be able to dictate like, well, how long you want to be here? Cool.
I get personally offended when anybody suggests that Jay Will shouldn't be on this team anymore. I've did a podcast with John Hamm. I really want to apologize to him because he mentioned it. Like, you know what? Like he has this like,
shut up.
He has this like option, this option that makes sense. And I'm like, what? Okay. Like I just like shut him down. I was like, Jay Will forever. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get in too far into this, but the roster crunch conversation, like, there are two particular people who have roster spots that all of us would be like that. They probably move on from those two guys. Right?
They have to move on from one.
They just have to move on from one at this point.
Because
flipping a coin?
No, I probably just say adios.
See,
adios. That's the championship, sir. Adios.
Someone asked me this, Sports Fan 405 on Blue Sky, like,
shout out to James.
This was like during the championship, like, who would you choose between Oos and Dylan Jones? Like in the middle of like me stressing out. And I was like, okay, I'll take a break from thinking about real things. And what I came up with was like, okay, if I actually thought about those two guys as players, what's more likely that like Dylan Jones suddenly learns to just like look normal on a basketball court, or that Oos all of a sudden can hit corner threes and then you can just play him? Like if he could just hit corner threes, he'd be playable.
I refuse to do this.
Also, Jones is a vibes guy. That dude is a great
and he's a permanent sub.
He's a great bench guy. So take me back to Sunday with you guys. So
what happened?
I'm saying last Sunday. So this is only last Sunday.
Was that the game?
That the game happened.
Oh, okay.
Remember the last FriPod?
Like, why do we keep having to do these after losses?
It was. I mean, I was in
Indianapolis,
not that long ago, and it felt like
it wasn't even a week ago. You literally were flying back today, a week ago.
Yeah, this morning. I was on an airplane right now.
Yeah,
crying,
sweeping to yourself,
just in the shoulder of this poor woman next to me,
who just was the one person flying from Indianapolis to Oklahoma City that didn't know. But so Sunday, pretty much, and I think Taylor mentioned it, the longest day of your life.
Dude, that was the longest day ever. I was like doing anything I could. I cleaned up the whole house. I was gardening. I was like, it's only been 30 minutes. How am I going to do this?
You're so productive.
It hit 7:00. So it hit 6:30. So the game started at 7. It hit 6:30.
Yeah.
I was in like honestly panicked.
Yeah.
So I just started like Sudokuing. Y'all remember Sudoku?
Yeah. I was doing the
Panic Sudoku.
What can I do?
I get that. Don't make fun of Jay.
I'm
I
just
get
thinking,
it.
like, what can I do to get my
That's
mind?
awesome.
I need to kill time. What can I do? And this is like, just start doing these, but I couldn't focus. Like, I have in my life never been as anxious,
Dude.
Actually, hold on.
at a moment that I had nothing to do with.
The only other day that can compare to that feeling of waiting that long was my wedding day.
Yes.
Yeah,
Actually, it was my wedding day.
Felt just like that.
Alex and I sat here and did a podcast.
I was so mad at you guys.
In this room that day. It's actually, I'm glad we did it because it's like a really good, like almost like time.
I need to go back and listen to it now.
Time capsule piece, because we're talking about the possibility of like the biggest embarrassment that maybe any franchise has ever had.
Yeah, we were like, what would this mean for Siakam's legacy if they won? That was one of our questions.
It would be incredible. But I mean, the fact that like all that is just like completely washed away. But
And it does feel so long ago that I was feeling that way. But like, yeah, you guys talked about it at halftime.
Yeah,
I was out of my mind. So scared.
Yeah.
And like, are they gonna do this?
This was just days ago. Doesn't it feel like it was like a month ago?
Yeah, it was 6 days ago.
Also, there is not one thing in my life that I mute quicker than when it's halftime on ESPN.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
I have actually not watched one.
Not once.
Throughout the whole playoffs.
I literally end of the buzzer, second quarter's over, mute the
There's nothing to
TV,
watch.
come back in 20 minutes.
There's nothing to watch.
Alex and I were talking about that. It's like, you're ESPN. How is this
So bad.
how is this your crew?
Dude, even the second round last night, there was some bad mistakes that like fans could get up and do a better job and just know where some of these guys were going.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. It's gotten really bad.
Especially which is really crazy now that they've just aren't they going to take even more of a driver's seat in the future? Like, because TNT's gone. I know it's going to be NBC's a lot of it, which they have a great crew, it looks like.
Yeah.
Then you've got Amazon doing some stuff as well.
Yeah.
But man, they've got to figure it out because the ESPN, not guys I liked. Legs, SVP. I actually really like Richard Jefferson.
He's not bad.
I like Richard Jefferson.
He's not bad.
Breen is fine. Like,
Breen is good.
Play by play, honestly, I don't really get that much opinionated about.
He's a good play by play.
Doris really let us down, Taylor.
I can't even talk about Doris.
It's over. It's over with Doris.
It's over with Doris.
Their pre and post game and halftime stuff. I guess not post game as much, but with Perk, I actually like Perk, but Myers is okay, but not very good. But
like boring as hell. Why Bob Myers? Why am I looking at Bob Myers in the finals? Why am I listening to Bob Myers right now?
I don't know.
Stephen A is so bad.
Stephen A is bad.
Stephen A is like a legit embarrassment, in my opinion. Like the fact that he because he's a character.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a real person. That is a
Yeah.
character, and to put him on something as big as the NBA Finals, I just think is
it was embarrassing.
It's ESPN like trying to go more for like the click version of media coverage versus the quality.
100%. It's all
It's like who's going to say something that can be shocking that's going to create more buzz after the moment. Like they probably got more views on Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire than they did of the actual things he said.
Yeah.
I know.
Basketball content wise.
That's true.
It's just hard because TNT had the perfect group.
And they're a
of doing
mess too,
stuff.
but they at least were funny and
But it was-
that you trust their basketball takes.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You know that they played the sport.
Hold on. And they were good players. Perk is your only player. Perk,
Yeah.
you're ESPN. Perk is your number one player. Perk. They have Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Kenny the Jet, and then Ernie's the greatest of all time.
That's the thing is that they have Ernie. Ernie's the one that keeps me coming back because I don't always love what any of those guys have to say, but Ernie Johnson is such a legend that like you feel like okay if this is not a good show because there's sometimes where it's not a good show at all, but you know that like there's potential for it to be a good show. I just don't feel like anytime I tune into ESPN that there's potential for it to be good ever.
It's like a FriPod. You know it has a chance to be good because everyone likes
That's
each
right.
other and they're actually friends.
That's right.
And you can tell that watching TNT, whereas
Yeah.
ESPN, it's like, I know Bob Myers and Stephen A. Smith aren't hanging out.
No, and also No, they're not hanging out. Bob Myers and Perk, though, maybe.
Maybe.
But like they also respect Ernie, and Ernie keeps the show on track, and they listen to him, and they, all this stuff. Who is the ESPN person that's going to keep?
What are we talking about?
I don't know what
we're pissed off.
We need to take a break.
ESPN's got to get better.
We got to talk about more draft.
Let's take a quick break and let's talk about more draft.
And let's open this package.
Okay.
We also have Twitter questions, but we do need to talk about the second round. Why? And we're back after that quick break. The Thunder at 44 selected a guy that Alex is really excited about.
Let's go.
I saw a TikTok about him.
What'd you learn?
He's a dog.
Oh, he's a dog.
He's got that dog in him.
Actually, like big picture about this draft, I think if there's like one takeaway, it's that Presti is doubling down on their strength.
Yeah.
He saw that they just won a championship shooting like 29% from three. And I think a lot of fans' reaction was like, please, including me, please go get some shooting. Just get someone that you can play in the playoffs that's reliable.
No.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like they just won a finals shooting 29% from three because of their defense.
Yeah.
So
But it's not wrong to still think like,
it is not wrong.
hey, but if you had shooting,
But
maybe this doesn't go 7.
And the guys they have now should shoot better than they did.
Well, and that's what I was like. The reality is, when you look at the amount of guys on this team that need to play, like there just aren't a lot of minutes for someone that you would bring in. The reality is, if they're going to get better at shooting, it's going to be Dub and Chet.
Yeah.
Those guys are the biggest swing pieces when it comes to their future 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
But in this draft, both with the Sorber pick and with Barnhizer, like it's clear that they are doubling down on this defense that completely wrecked the league.
Yep.
Wrecked so many teams in the playoffs, completely changed the way teams looked in the playoffs, where even though the Thunder's offense was a mess for large stretches of the playoffs, it ultimately just didn't matter because they always had that floor of the defense.
If Brooks Barnhizer works out, people are going to absolutely love this dude because he is
almost 6'5", but he has a 6'11" wingspan.
Which is honestly, I feel like we can say it, that's super weird for a white guy.
Yeah, it's
we
weird.
can say it.
You don't see it a lot.
You can say
it. And he plays so hard. Like that's the thing that sticks out to him. If you just watch him for like 5 minutes, you know that like this dude is going to bring it no matter what. He's of any guy that could sign a two-way, he's very exciting. He has a mustache. There's going to be some.
I wanted to not care.
He could be a fan favorite
because Vicini was telling us this second round is terrible because of NIL. Like once you get past like 35, who cares? And so when I first saw his name, I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to pay attention to this. But then I started reading into him more. And, a few months ago, I was on with Andrew going through Ben Pfeiffer's article where he had like all the things that connect all of the Presti draft picks.
Yeah.
And so I went and looked at it for Brooks Barnhizer. And like obviously crazy plus wingspan, plus 6.25, weighs 230 pounds, like big dude,
big dog,
big boy,
wildly productive in college, had a 9.7 BPM, had a positive assist to turnover ratio, averaged over 4 assists per game, had a really good free throw rate, got to the line a ton, and a really good rebounder.
Yeah.
The only thing is the shooting, which is kind of, but I will say that he at least took like 4 per game. This isn't like a Ryan Dunn situation where he just like didn't take him at all.
Take him. Yeah.
He would take him. And reading Sam Vecini's profile in the draft guide, he said like last year, his junior year, he did shoot like 34%. It looked like it was starting to get better. Then he got injured this year and he was playing through that injury and his shooting just kind of tanked. He did say he was telling us and Andrew, or me and Andrew, us and Andrew, there's 2 of me, that his shot is going to be like a work in progress because it's not like the prettiest thing.
Yeah.
But you could at least, looking at all these factors on like the Thunder checklist, like everything other than shooter, you understand why they drafted this guy.
Yeah.
And you could totally see him like, if he's healthy, because he was still coming off that injury, I wouldn't like be shocked if he's getting like some of those spot minutes that like Dylan Jones would be getting last year.
By the way, AJ Mitchell's on the team next year too.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't mentioned him at all.
He is.
Topic. I was going to say, hey, it's okay if these guys aren't that great at shooting. 34, Chris England can get him up to, 38.
Who?
Chip England. My bad.
Chris.
The thing that I love about both these picks is that neither one of them are like theoretical. You know, there's been guys that they've picked in the past that are just not productive in college or in Europe or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, they have this like path to be this awesome player, but we haven't seen any of it.
Yeah.
So I just like that. Like Sorber was incredibly productive at Georgetown
As a freshman.
Yes, Barnhizer was incredibly productive throughout his college career. I like that these are guys that are already good at basketball that they're bringing in.
And I wanted to say a little bit more about Sorber. So there's this really cool website where you can go look at all the comps. And so you can first look at physical comps. So Thomas Sorber, his closest physical comps, Udoka Azubuike, Nene, and Andre Drummond. That's how big he is.
Yeah, he's big.
He's real big. But then you look at his statistical comps. His closest statistical comps are Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu. I like the idea of like a bigger Onyeka Okongwu because that's kind of the deal with Onyeka.
He's too small.
Yeah, like when people talk about Sorber being
how
like
tall is Okongwu? I feel like they're about the same height, but the length is so different.
The wingspan 7'2" versus 7'6".
Yeah,
and that's like the huge thing. And Okongwu actually deserves some of those like tweener concerns.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with Sorber, like it's gonna work. And if he's like Okongwu, which the thing with Okongwu is like, okay, this guy's got like a little passing ability.
Yeah.
That is going to be incredible because Sorber's offensive game, like everyone's going to point to the fact that he doesn't shoot, and that's true. But like when we talked with Vicini about Sorber, like 3 weeks ago or whenever that was, we asked him like how much of Hartenstein's game could he replicate, and he basically said like almost all of it.
Yeah.
Like the only thing you might say he doesn't have is that floater game that Hartenstein has. But if you watch Sorber's highlights,
85%.
That's right.
Also, like his floater game
disappeared.
They took it away.
They did, yeah.
He got a lot more baseline floaters, which are just not great.
I will say though that
terrifying shot.
if you watch Sorber's highlights, he does have like the beginnings of a face-up game.
Yeah, he does.
So it's not like he's just
absolutely.
around the basket.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Little
super
bitty.
efficient around the basket.
Yeah, he
So-
finished as well. I am intrigued to see what an NBA organization working with him physically can do for him because
he's got like a crazy frame. Like
he does. He just you can tell he feels heavier towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Like he feels like he can't elevate the same way. And I think some of that is he just carries weight he doesn't need to carry, which the Thunder can help him navigate that as long as he wants to put the work in to get there, right? With eating better or whatever it might be. Ton of potential.
Huge stocks guy. Like
Yeah.
7.6 block percentage, which is big. And then big steal percentage.
Having that
too.
kind of wingspan, and by all intents and purposes, all you hear about it is also another one of those high character guys. Great, like family, the kind of, Sam had mentioned it, the people in the orbit of all of these players that help them be the people that they are. It's just impressive.
Totally.
So you mentioned shooting. And I think you're right, is the development of the guys that are already on the team is really where the shooting bump's going to come from.
Yes.
The thing I'm still trying to wrap my head around is how much of their drop off in the playoffs was a mental thing versus these teams just got defended differently. Because if you just go through some of the top players, so for the regular season this year, Dort shot 41% from the field. For the playoffs, anybody know what he shot?
He's probably the one that was good, right?
Like 35, 36.
34.3%.
Okay.
But in the finals, didn't he shoot like
over 50, I
50%?
think.
Yeah.
Then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the regular season shot 37.5% from the 3-point line. In the playoffs, Shai shot 28%.
Yeah, it was miserable.
Dub in the playoffs shot 30%. In the regular season, Dub shot 36.5%.
Chet's the craziest.
Chet shot 29% in the playoffs, which is actually surprisingly more.
Well,
than
I thought that was,
but he was 37.9 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like you see, just the drop off was that's what was so confusing because I was like, for the regular season, the Thunder weren't a bad 3-point shooting team.
We're the biggest sample that we have of
Yeah,
them.
for
they were good.
2 games, they were shooting.
But you know what's interesting? That kind of happened to the Pacers in the finals when they like ratcheted up their defense to OKC's level. So I do wonder if that is part of it. Like if there's a physical reason why the shots weren't going in as much, just because those two teams were playing so hard defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pacers were an incredible shooting team until the finals.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're missing shots.
Some of this defense,
but
a lot of it is just they were missing shots that they were normally making.
Yeah. Mark talked about that too. He said like the finals is the finals is way more about your floor and like how low your floor is than how high your ceiling is, because most teams can't get to their ceiling, but it's all about the floor.
We got a package from a listener. We're opening it.
I do want to mention that the Thunder did pick up Peyton Sanford from Iowa as well on a 2-way contract, 6'7" scorer, and we're opening up a package from our guy Lil Bit on Twitter.
Got a Mooding t-shirt,
and he's got.
He went to Thailand.
He went to Thailand. Got
Mooding pajama pants.
Mooding pajama pants.
Mooding paraphernalia.
Mooding
Ooh.
shirt.
Thai Kit Kat?
Chocolate orange Thai Kit Kat.
Okay.
These were in my car long enough where that is just completely melted.
Oh, Taylor.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
What? Well, I'm just saying, like, they've got to be so melty.
I wish these fit.
Are those Mooding pants too?
No, these are just shorts.
Regular shorts.
Little shorts.
Those are nice.
Those are actually kind of fire.
I like them.
Yeah. Those are pretty fire.
Candies.
I remember my parents went to Hong Kong and all they brought me back was 4 pairs of silk boxers.
Oh,
what?
Yeah. I was
What?
like, could you gotten me anything else?
stuff?
This is from Little Bit.
Little bit. So much Mooding stuff. This
Mooding.
rocks. Elman, should we answer some TQs while we open up all this Mooding stuff?
Nah.
I hope Mooding's getting some of this money. Yeah.
Come on.
Mooding grew up. Nobody wants to see Mooding anymore.
Time for some Twitter questions.
Twitter questions. You got questions and you ask them on Twitter. Now we answer them for you. This is Twitter questions. Now let's get down to it. Coconut.
That's for Tayshawn.
Our first Twitter question comes from
Elephant coconut soap.
This is so awesome.
our friend Dean Metropolis.
Oh,
Dean Metropolis,
who we met at our draft party.
Hey, shout out to everyone who came to our draft party.
It was the true Thunder sickos.
It was really fun.
We met some very fun fans. Like, I hope I remember his name correctly, but Clint, who is the Thunder fan who lives in Indianapolis and flew in from Indianapolis for the parade and then went to the draft.
Shout out.
We met Amza, who flew in from California.
Yep.
There were so many people, and then there were at least 3 Australian Thunder fans who flew in.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
It was awesome. So Dean wants to know, how loud out of 10 did you scream when Yegor was taken?
Oh, that was the loudest I screamed. I wish Andrew had been able to hear me, because I was just saying "what" over and over again.
What?
Because there's a few Nets fans that I follow through ball.
Yeah.
Who basically had gotten to the point where it's like anybody but Yegor. As long as they do not draft Yegor,
Seriously?
I'm cool with the Nets.
No.
And I listened to.
I felt the same way.
I was listening to the YKB live stream, and that was they were talking about okay, this can't be Yegor. That would be the worst pick of all time, and then it was him.
Oh.
That's cool.
Oh,
it says our name.
They have our name.
That's cool. Yeah, totally. Next question from Zach Deeg. Was winning the title better than having Cinnamon Toast Crunch for the first time?
Yeah.
It's better than a lot of
things.
There's
never been an experience in my life like it.
It was when they actually won it, and I'm standing
better than any first time I've ever had.
I'm standing at half court. It was unbelievable. It was completely unbelievable.
It's like a satchel.
At JLaw091, how many all defense teams will Brooks Barnheiser make in his career? I'm saying over under 1.5.
I want to see how many Thunder
now
guys.
Y'all got me one. I have to go watch this guy.
You'll like him, Jay. You will really like
everything you're saying. Is this guy's my vibe?
You will like him.
Kind of like this bag.
He has a famous interview where he was talking about how he had just gotten his teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
And he came back immediately.
I lost a tooth in a basketball game. This front one right here got elbowed out of my face.
He spits it out onto the court.
I did too. I spit it out and handed it to a friend of mine. I'm like, what held onto this?
Okay, that's not as cool.
Take this.
Oh, dang, man, look at that one.
At David8260949080, how much did Luke win from the Thunder winning the championship?
I don't think if I put money on it, which I
You talked about parlaying all of the awards.
I know, but I think the thing is, if I put money on it, I don't know where the piece of paper is. I don't know if I did.
Oh no!
I put money on the cup game, Lawson. But I thought I put money on them winning it all.
You did.
But I did the year before.
The year before you did, I know.
But
for sure.
this year, I don't know if I did. And then
I
what I have to do is go back and listen to podcasts, and then I have to tear apart my house to try to find it because I don't know where it is. It's probably like as a
How
book.
many people you think lose their winnings like that?
I mean, there's all those stories about like the Bitcoin guys who
paid 10,000.
No, they have a
Bitcoin for
hard drive
Domino's
like in some
pizza.
dump.
Yeah, and it has like $1 billion on it.
Yeah,
it's like that, but it's mine, and it's a bookmark and like a book I've put away somewhere.
At Josh_D Rich or Dritch. Winning the championship is cool and everything, but are you a little miffed or peeved that we didn't win the cup too?
Only because in like EPL, it's a big deal if you like win all of the domestic cups and the regular season. So it'd be cool if we could say like we won the double.
They were so close.
Yeah,
they were so close.
We also had cup shirts ready to go.
Yeah, we did.
And
we also didn't have championship shirts, probably because we thought we would jinx it like we jinxed the cup.
Because we got jinxed, yeah.
God, the cup shirts were gonna rock.
Yeah, respect the cup.
But
hey, next year.
Hey, we have them ready if we ever do.
You okay?
He's eating some of the candy.
At Hippo Dresser, would Andrew offer up his other ACL for a Thunder repeat? Heck no. At AF Drums, who are your choices to play opening night and Christmas Day? I say opening night against the Rockets.
Yeah. Have you
I
seen
would
that tweet?
Guarantee that's happening.
Just in front of Kevin Durant.
Oh, yeah. Make him watch it.
Just like, hey, make him watch.
Make him watch it.
Just seems like a way to say it.
Make him watch.
Somebody's like grabbing his face and just like watch SGA.
It's like that scene from what's the one where they
holding open the eyes.
Yeah, holding open his eyes. Yeah, you have to watch like Kevin sitting down on the other end of the court like he did when Russ was shooting the free throws. Except for now, he's watching the Thunder players get the rings.
Christmas,
Clay
I would
Bennett's
like
just holding his eyes.
Yeah, he's like
Lakers.
See, I was thinking Wolves.
Wolves would be fun. Nuggets
would be cool.
Pacers.
Yeah, Pacers again.
No, I mean not
Hellburn's
out.
Not now. We'll talk.
If they're smart, they would do the Cavs because that was the best regular season.
Thunder
game.
Cavs.
Yeah.
Christmas Day would be cool. The Cavs should win the East. I was talking to somebody. Somebody was asking me at our draft party, like, who should win the East? Should be the Cavs. Let's see. Can you from at B SWAT 1531? Can you explain the hype around Sorver to me? What should I be excited about?
It feels reductive to say like I heart replacement and just only say that, but
yeah,
it really like you understand it very quickly when you start watching him play.
How does a guy like iHeart feel about that? Like,
I'd be more concerned about like we talked about J Will. J Will's not going anywhere, but I'd be more concerned about J Will just like losing minutes because
I don't think Sorver plays this year.
I think he'll play.
You think so?
Yeah.
I just assumed he'd be in the G League most of the year.
I think that Sorber is going to be good. Like I think he's going to be good right away. I think he's going to play. You know, I mean, this time last year, I don't think we had any inkling that AJ Mitchell would play at all.
Even going back to Kaysen
Wallace played.
I don't think we realized he was going to play 20 minutes a night. Like,
who
from
was
the
the
jump.
last player that was good for the like that was a good player that didn't play his rookie season at all for the Thunder?
Yeah.
Like I just believe that Sorber's going to be an NBA player.
I just
and
think
very rarely do those guys not play at all.
But the level of talent for this team, it's like, and I think this is what's going to be really hard about the next decade or whatever is when the guys that we loved and made that connection with are going to end up going somewhere else.
It'll happen.
Or being traded or
it'll happen.
Part of the casualties of salary cap issues or whatever, where it's like all of a sudden, I don't think Wiggs would be that guy, but a Joe, like you could see Joe felt pretty dispensable towards the end of this.
But it's going to feel so
run.
different because like think about like Ibaka leaving or Russ or but not KD.
Yeah.
Like
about that one.
you feel this like, oh man, what could have been with these guys?
Yeah.
Now there's none of that. There's none.
There's
There's no regrets.
Appreciation.
That's true.
Like Joe goes on and plays for the Magic, and
Like we'd be rooting
whatever.
for him.
Yeah, we'd be like, man, that's cool.
You're right.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Isaiah Joe.
That's-
Now
that
he
is
gets more of
different.
an opportunity, kind of thing. Last question at Smiling Contender wants to know, Sarah, who's been listening to the pod forever. I think that she was remember we did the pod in Tulsa?
Yeah.
Like a long time ago.
I still have the cup from that place that was called. Dang it. I can't remember. But yes.
PF Chang's.
Right by the Driller Stadium.
Right by the. Anyway, she wants to know, how many times a day do you think about the championship? I will you can ask Amy. I will look at her and be like, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they did it. Like we'll just be like sitting there and I'll just randomly be like, can you believe they did it? Like, they really happened. They actually won the championship.
I think unless you're a sports fan who followed a team as a kid who won, you just start feeling like, oh, this is just never going to happen to me. Like that's something that happens for other fans.
Yeah, definitely. It had started to feel like that after going
absolutely
that many years with being as close as they were with having the talent they had. It felt like,
which is funny though. You still are like, it does make me think about all these other fan bases that have been around for a lot longer. Like the Kings, the Pacers.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It felt like we were going to be the Orlando Magic.
It also makes me feel really sad for them.
That's so nice.
How long they've just been.
And now we can sit on our ivory tower and be like, man, these poor guys.
I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think this will happen in the sense that, like, I'm content. Like, if there's no other championships that materialize from this team, which I would be.
I'm gonna clip this next year.
I would be far more surprised.
I'm fine.
Honestly, though, like I don't.
Fine. I don't care if they win.
I don't think I'll go into the playoffs and feel the same level of.
Jay's just screaming on the pod.
Yeah, he's gonna be so mad.
It will never.
Tension.
It'll never feel like this.
What is Mark doing?
Even exactly.
Stop playing all the guys.
if they
why is Sorber getting minutes?
Sorber's playing in round 2. If they go on to win multiple titles, we savor this moment because it'll never feel like this.
Yeah.
The city will never feel like it does today.
I do wonder what I'm gonna not stop though.
Fine.
Sorry.
I do wonder having conversations with Warriors fans or Spurs fans, and those are where championships felt almost like routine.
It's the expectation.
It's how did they navigate what they felt going into those seasons? I would be just intrigued to hear oh yeah, we just always kind of whatever happens.
I think it's a lot different based on when you came in the cycle for a team.
Yeah.
Because if you started following the Warriors a few years into Steph's career, and then all of a sudden you're just winning championships all the time. That feels so much different than if you're a longtime Warriors fan that knows what it was like to be like Bill Simmons writing a super long article about how terrible your franchise is and listing out all the ways.
Yeah.
Knowing that. And so for Thunder fans that I think have been here from the beginning, I think it'll be easier to have perspective than if you're a relatively new Thunder fan.
Yeah.
You've only ever known
this
team being good.
I don't know how to talk about it because I'm so used to everything. I'm thinking about the Thunder building towards becoming a championship team.
Yeah.
And now that that's happened, I'm like, okay, so now what's
now you're going for immortality. If
it
you
just
win
feels
back to back, that puts you in a class that
that's where they're headed. You think about how open. I mean, if the Rockets are the second best odds, this will be the best chance to repeat in a long time.
Yeah, especially with the East the way it is.
The East is destroyed, and the West is weird.
Yeah, the West is weird.
This Thunder team that we just saw win the championship, for all intents and purposes, should be a lesser version of the team that will be on the floor next year.
They will be.
With age, with development, with
they will
getting that
Oh.
monkey off their back of the. You could feel it. Like I'm telling, I've been saying this from the beginning of the play. You could feel the tension.
Yeah.
All their stupidity moments, right? Like the Denver game one, the Pacers game one, all of those moments that felt like you could just see their immaturity all over the court. All of that changes next year.
Yeah.
Where instead of being the team that's like, "Oh, they're too young. You got to take your lumps." All those conversations that have been prevalent in the Thunder discourse. All of that's gone.
Yeah. It's all gone.
They are the team that now has championship experience. They've done 2 Game 7s, one against the old guard and one against this team that was the team of destiny. They've done all of the things you could do navigating a playoff run. They've done. So they're seasoned. They're prepared. They're ready for whatever next year looks like. That's why I'm like, I just think Mark said it after the Dallas series. Like, well, that was the worst version of Chet you'll see.
Yeah.
I think the whole team, even though they just won a championship, this will be. I mean, it's easy to go to the Warriors, the 2015 Warriors, which I didn't realize until we talked about it. It's like Kyrie and Kevin Love being out that series really helped them win that championship. Yeah. And then the 2016, they won 73 games and lost in the 2016 finals to LeBron James, obviously. And then 27, 28, or 17 and 18, they won the championships. It's like they were clearly better the next 2-3 years that they did it.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. Everybody on the Thunder now has championship experience.
All of them.
Every single one of them.
They'll be the guy that gets signed. It was like, well, they brought in Isaiah Joe because he's got championship experience.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the overall national media figures out, because now it makes it a lot harder for them to.
Yeah,
it's going to be more obvious that they just don't want the Thunder to win.
You know what? Who cares, man? I don't care.
I care.
Are you miffed?
That they can't.
Miffed and peeved.
Yeah.
Keep going. We're grateful. We're grateful.
Do you guys want to eat
and
tomatoes?
Blessed.
Yeah, I'll take some tomatoes. We are grateful
for all
and
this
blessed.
stuff.
No miffed and not miffed and peeved. There's thanks. I don't know how you could be miffed and peeved at this point. Unbelievable.
Honestly, even with the draft, like
I can't.
How many
those
times
get
have we
hot
had a
in my
Thunder
car.
draft where it seems like there's the obvious guy that they should take, and then Pressy takes someone and you're like, okay, all right, I'll talk myself into this. This felt like one of those rare Thunder drafts where everyone had kind of identified Sorber in the run up to the draft, and then they actually took him.
Yeah, I think KOC and Sam both had him mocked at 15 to the Thunder.
Yeah. Which
So-
that's rare. This is one of those.
Ryland Styles had him mocked there. Shout out to Rye Guy.
Like we've talked about this, how there's either the draft cycle where like no one knows what the Thunder are doing, or it feels like everyone does. Because there was that rumor like a few weeks ago, like the Thunder are looking for a big man in this draft.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of
There you go.
pinpointed
Right.
Sorber, and it ended up being him.
Hey guys, Masai Ujiri just got fired.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
After the draft?
Right after the draft. Before they could even introduce Colin Murray Boyles, they're like, you know what? That's enough.
What?
Yes. One, about time. Two, weird time.
Are you sure you didn't? Are you sure you're not NBA Sinteled?
I mean, unless Shams Charania has been hacked.
Let him do the draft and dictate where this team is going for the next.
It was almost like a
test,
test,
and then fire him.
It was like a test for him almost. So it was like,
although they did pretty decently, right?
They just picked a guy that
is Scotty Barnes.
It's the same. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. They have that guy tenfold.
I mean, he's going to be hired. I wonder if he was already talking to a team, and they knew they might lose him, and so decided to fire him. Because
I don't know.
Who doesn't have somebody?
The Kings just hired somebody. There's been lots of chatter about how he's not very good.
It's got a championship though.
He does.
But
we know what that feels like. Oh my gosh. He is eating this tomato. He is eating this tomato so close to my
These
ear.
are some pretty meaty tomatoes.
Shout outs a little bit.
It's 8-11.
Yeah, for all the
just
stuff.
a collection of
Yeah,
stuff.
shout out for all the
Yeah, check out this if you can see it.
That is pretty cool.
It's a beer
hey,
can.
we'll be back with many other pods.
Summer League is what, 2 weeks away?
Oh my gosh.
You see
week away.
Topich for the first time.
Good to see
Topich to Sorber?
Sorber's not.
I don't think so.
Allerbad.
I don't know.
Sorber and this guy from Northwestern?
No,
sorry.
We also don't know if he's
Topich
playing either.
Topich
Yeah.
and the guy from Iowa?
Yeah, Peyton Sanford.
It's going to be AJ and Dylan Jones, probably.
Peyton Sanford 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Sam Presti's talking on Monday so we'll have some
that's
kind of recap of that. The draft prospects, we'll get to meet them tomorrow. So
What if he just
There's
does
that.
Jay Will's speech again, but it's Sam Presti?
but to the media, where he's
Yes.
like wanting a call back from us.
He's like, yeah.
Yes. All right.
That'd be
Hope you guys
awesome.
have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys again on Monday.
Yeah, yeah.